Everyone is safe and sound in the current pandemic scenario. We welcome you all to the fourth inline webinar organized by SPJMR. And thank you for removing time from your current scenario and connecting for the webinar. I request everyone to keep their video switched off, and we will have a Q&A session post the 45-minute talk. So you can post your question and questions to me on the chat, and we can take it ahead once Sir has finished with his talk. So let's begin. I'll introduce the speaker of the day first, Professor Hariharan. Professor Hariharan is associated with SPJMR for almost more than 2 decades. He has conducted more than 600 training programs and trained a number of managers on concept of lean, constraint management, and cost management. Professor Hariharan has advised corporates across industry sectors like steel, cement, automobile, auto ancillary, etc. He has done pioneering work in the field of strategic cost management as well. Professor Hariharan is also a member of CII, Total Cost Management Movement, and also he is a charter member of TIE. Sir, I hand over the session to you, and I think you can begin now with your talk.
Thanks, Sonal. Thank you very much.
Pleasure, sir.
So, I'll share my screen.
Yes, sir. Go ahead.
Okay. So let me set my clock for about 40 minutes so that I will not overshoot your time. Right?
Thank you, sir.
Yeah. Just give me a minute. I will set it at 40.
Sure.
Exactly 40 so that I will not overshoot your time.
Absolutely, sir.
So I set for 40 minutes, Sonal. Okay.
Perfect.
So
sir.
that in case I get overshoot, it will not be more than 5 minutes.
Not a problem, sir.
Okay. Shall we start? Yeah. Please, others don't annotate my slides. Let it happen as it happens, and keep your videos, audios muted, videos on, so it become easier for us to look at the things. You keep questioning, keep shooting your questions to the chat box or Q&A. I think Sonal will consolidate everything, right, Sonal? In the end, you can have that shoot the questions to me, and whatever I can answer, I will answer. Otherwise, I will give a pass. Right? Okay. Now, it's a pretty interesting topic Dr. Vanitha gave me. So, looking at leadership crisis, should we innovate or die, or innovate or perish? Whether we perish or die, it is ultimately perish. And how design thinking can enable us to look at this crisis. So, I divided this into broadly 4 parts of discussion. The first part I kept for what this crisis is all about. What is this leadership crisis? And second is, what are the key tenets of leadership, which will actually make it what qualities a leader need to have. I drawn a little bit from our Oriental wisdom. And the third part is, what is this design thinking? And the fourth part integrates design thinking with the crisis and with the traits. Okay. So this is the agenda I have. What are the triggers of crisis? What are the 5 qualities of a leader from the ancient wisdom? And what are the key design thinking principles which are applicable in the context of this crisis? And how do we apply the design thinking to leadership crisis? This is the agenda I have. So first, let us start with the triggers of the crisis. There are typically 5 triggers which I find in the case of crisis. Just a minute. Okay. The first crisis, I call it as, are we nurturing leaders, or are we nurturing dolphin managers? What is this dolphin managers? Some of you might have gone to Singapore Zoo, so the dolphin lagoon. So typically the lagoon, this dolphins make some exercises, they show some shows. At the end of the show, the dolphin is fed some fish. Dolphin is so thrilled, it quacks, and then it wags its tail, and then happily it runs back into the water. So what I call as dolphin managers is, we cannot nurture leaders. If I'm going to look at my performance of my CEOs or C-suite people based on the last quarter performance and give them a variable pay based on what they are actually have earned in the last one quarter. If I'm going to make a payment or compensation to a CEO who is supposed to be a leader, not simply manager, and I'm going to measure his performance based on the quarterly performance or the annual performance, I don't expect the CEO to take any strong long-term decision. Why should I unnecessarily spoil my paycheck? If I'm looking at it, if I'm going to get fed that fish, definitely if I do this well, let me as well do this. Why should I think about the long term of creating some wealth? I'm more concerned about this. So if you look at the organization which is having a longevity at the senior management, you'll find a definite advantage of leader getting developed. Somebody like a YC Deveshwar, somebody like a Pawan Goenka. You find these leaders who have been nurtured over a period of time. It's not simply they are not going to be happening in 2 days or 3 days, 2 months or 3 months, or rather a 3 years performance. So the fundamental crisis is rooted in developing a short-term mindset in leaders rather than looking at making them challenged to look at the long-term performance. The second kind of a crisis I find in this leadership is, are we lateral thinkers or linear thinkers? No, I'm not telling linear thinking is not important. Linear thinking is important, just like short-term performance is important. But if I'm going to look at linear thinking as a way to go forward, I will get incremental improvements. Breakthrough improvements comes from mavericks. Breakthrough innovations come from disruptive thinking. A disruptive thinking is going to happen only when I find an opportunity in the problem rather than looking at the problem and try to solve it linearly. So business as usual. This mindset, in a way, COVID-19 is a great blessing, I would say. It has shaken our perspective about business as usual. We have to look at business unusual. So lateral thinking, are we developing linear thinking? A linear thinking guy can be a good manager, but not a great leader. You need leaders who can think laterally. And the third critical part is,
what do you take from today's match? Experience is not playing more matches. Experience is learning from matches you play. You can play 30 matches, and if you don't learn anything, it's like playing the same match 30 times. But the people who improve, the people who get better, are the ones who learn from each and every game, who get to know themselves better. Right? So all of you, whether you won or lost, it is not a day wasted. A lot of times people get disappointed. Oh, we lost the match. Oh, we didn't play well. I scored 0. But that doesn't matter. You've had an experience. What have you learned from that experience? What have you learned from watching somebody else bat? Somebody scored 100 today. Somebody scored a 90. Even if you have not scored runs, you can learn something from watching them. That is what will help you. All of you are young. It's a journey. These are just experiences. There's no good and bad. People get disappointed very quickly.
So it is definitely words of wisdom from somebody like Rahul Dravid. He's talking about, are you learning or repeating the same thing again and again? I'm having 18 years experience. Is it 1 year experience repeated 18 times? Or have been continuously learning? A good leader has to be a learner. What do I learn from this crisis? What do I learn from this problem? Can I create an opportunity out of this problem? It comes only from learning. If I start getting despondent about looking at, what's happening? Yeah, it's not in my control. A lack of positivity comes from that attitude of not learning. So the third crisis I find is, people look at experience as more of repeating the same thing again and again, rather than doing something afresh, something new. In fact, one of the taglines of Emirates Airlines I like a lot, I think it was a John Maxwell quote, which says that, when is the last time you did something for the first time? What a powerful quote it is. When is the last time you did something for the first time? How many of us can confidently say, I did it today? Which is very important. For a leader, it is very crucial to look at what I did. When is the last time I did something for the first time? Learning is a part and parcel of the learning process of a leader. And this is a third crisis I find in leadership, where there is a 2015 World Economic Forum survey, which has surveyed multiple people across spectrum. And 86% respondents said that the biggest crisis corporate world is facing is lack of leadership. Something very interesting. The fourth is, are we having mentors or tormentors? Okay. So when you say mentors or tormentors, a leader is supposed to mentor the next leader. In fact, Ram Charan, when he talks about leadership, he says that a leader has to create next leader. In fact, I still remember what Mr. C. Narasimhan of Sundaram Fasteners told me once. When he joined Sundaram, he was asked by Mr. Venu Srinivasan, so what is your first job? He said, I have to find my successor. That is the leadership. I have to find my successor. So leader has to mentor leaders. So the problem you find with a lot of these dolphin managers is we tend to suppress the people who are actually growing up. People hit a glass ceiling faster in this case. So when I have a tormentor up. And the final crisis I find is doing things is not same as getting things done. We have to have the clarity. Am I getting things done or am I doing it? I am not telling a leader should not do things. Leader has to do things. In fact, going back to the tormentor a little bit again, yesterday I was watching a video of Kuldeep Yadav. He was talking about Dhoni. So it seems once Dhoni was showing an anger at Kuldeep Yadav when he came and said that I've been playing 300 matches. Am I a fool or what? Please do exactly what I'm telling you to do. See, then he, at the end of the day's play, Kuldeep Yadav went and asked Dhoni, Dhoni Paji, do you ever get angry at all? When is the last time you got angry? He said about 20-25 years back. But you got angry today. He shouted at me. He said, no, I was not angry. I was communicating to you. So sometimes the tormenting has to be in that context, not with an anger in the real sense. So now coming back to the point of getting things done or doing. A leader should also do, but he has to get things done. How do you create that collaborative effort from the team is very crucial for a leader. Okay, if these are the problem areas for a leader, what are the 5 qualities a leader should possess? Let me draw from ancient wisdom. I have drawn from Valmiki Ramayana. There are about 5 qualities of Hanuman, which is considered as a phenomenal qualities required for accomplishing anything. But wait a minute, is Hanuman a leader or is he a follower? He has been strictly following Ram. Is he a leader? No, Hanuman is a leader as well. He is a leader and therefore he is a follower as well. Hanuman was empowered. He was taking decisions at every point. He was taking decision on burning Lanka. He took the decision on what he should do after meeting Sita. He took decision on how he should meet Ravan. He took decision on getting Sanjeevi. Hanuman is a perfect example of a leader who is actually an implementer as well. So what are the 5 qualities which Valmiki Ramayana talks about Hanuman are very apt in my opinion for qualities for a leader. Hanuman was crossing the ocean for the first time and he faces a lot of hurdles. He sees that hill, he sees that Rakshasi, that Simika, he sees that Surasa, he crosses every hurdle. At that time, a few birds flying above are telling, hey, this person can accomplish anything. He has got 4 qualities which make him something unique. What are those 4 qualities they talk about? They talk about 4 qualities of Dhriti, Drishti, Mati, Dakshyam. Yasya Tvetani Chatvari Vanarendra Yatadava Dhriti, Drishti, Mati, Dakshyam Sa Karmasuna Sedati. Dhriti is courage. If you look at the tagline of SBJM, also you find the same thing, courage. Courage comes from heart. Drishti is vision. A leader should have vision. Mati is intellect. And Dakshyam is the skill to implement. The 4 skills which is given for Hanuman is courage, vision, intellect, skill. I have consciously color-coded them. Dhriti, Drishti, Mati, Dakshyam. If this is there, Sa Karmasu Na Sidati. Anything is not impossible. Anything can be accomplished by him. These are the 4 traits which a leader needs to possess. For taking decisions which are not short-term, you require Dhriti, you require Drishti, you require Mati, and you require Dakshyam as well. But all these 4 is not enough. Hanuman himself talks about there is a 5th quality for a leader. Hanuman was absolutely despondent. He was not able to find where Sita is. He was searching everywhere. He was almost given up. At that time, he self-motivates himself. He says that one of the most critical qualities a leader should have is, if I have to accomplish something, I should not be depressed. He calls non-depression as an extremely critical quality. It's called Anirveda. Anirveda Striyo Moolam. Anirveda Param Shukam. Anirvedo hi satatam sarvarteshu pravartataha. he talks about is Anirveda is a source of all development. Non-depression, as absence of despondency, is the greatest comfort. Self-reliance always is indeed the promoter in all matters. So, as a leader, I face with a lot of situations where some say things are absolutely impossible, like Tanaji faced when he was trying to raid that fort. At that point of time, depression automatically sets in. A great leader has to see how he can overcome the depression. Not only he overcoming the depression, how he can make the team overcome the depression. The current situation is a classic example. The companies that are going to come out of this crisis are those companies who have leadership qualities, not only at the top level, across the organization level. It is definitely successful only by non-depression. So he says, therefore, I will perform a best effort together with non-depression. So the 5 qualities, Dhriti, Drishti, Mati, Dakshyam, Anirveda. These are the 5 traits a leader needs to have. If you look at those 5 crisis points, these 5 qualities are the counters for these 5 crisis points, not one-to-one, one-to-many. Let us go to the third aspect, which is the key theme of our discussion, design thinking. What design thinking got to do with leadership? Has it got any of these qualities a leader possesses? Is design thinking as a body of knowledge talks about these qualities? Or is it that I am trying to fit everything into design thinking? There are certain very fundamental traits a design thinker has to have. So let us spend the next 15 minutes or so on looking at what this design thinking is all about. Then we will correlate how design thinking principles or design thinking as a mindset can help us to overcome the leadership crisis. This is a definition given by Tim Brown, the guru of design thinking, who runs IDEO along with Kelly. He talks about thinking like a designer can transform the way you develop products, services, processes, and even strategy. So this is where the leadership aspect comes in. Thinking like a designer means what? A designer has to have a solution mindset. Whenever an opportunity comes, if you are not a designer, you look at a problem. Whenever a problem comes, if you're a designer, you find a solution there. A design thinking mindset is a solution mindset. A mindset where you are trying to empathize with people. A mindset which says that, hey, let us understand, put ourselves in his shoes and look at how we can solve this. A designer is a one who is in pursuit of solution. So what is design thinking? It is a discipline that uses designer sensibility and method. Designer sensibility is primarily how empathetic he is. I'm using the word empathy for a second time now. I'll be using the word empathy from rest of the presentation also. Empathy, how is it different from sympathy? Sympathy, okay, I feel sad about your state of affairs. Can't do anything about it. Live with it. But whereas empathy primarily talks about 3 A's. First A is, I am aware of your problem. First of all, I should be aware that you have a problem. Only then I can take a responsibility here. Second A is, I articulate your problem very well. I am very clearly communicating what your problem is. Oh, you are looking at color, a paint of your choice. So currently you are going to a shop and buying this particular paint in different colors and mixing and matching it yourself. Oh, your problem is primarily in mixing that paint to get the color of your choice. So how do I solve your problem? So Jensen and Nicholson, subsequently Asian Paints, came with the solution of color solution or Merawala color. Where I take the third A is action. So I have to be aware of the problem. I have to articulate the problem and situation clearly. And I have taken action on this problem as a solution, and that is empathy. Empathy without action is not empathy. You have to have an action embedded in empathy. And methods. One of the critical method for a designer is he should have the guts to fail. A designer should have the guts to fail. You cannot get something perfect, and you need to reach that perfection. So can Asian Paints say that I have reached a perfect solution by giving a color of your choice? Definitely not. Still, I want to have my house painted. So they moved one step further and moved towards home solutions. So a designer's sensibility and methods to match people's needs. I need my home to be well kept, free from dust, free from seepage. Therefore, I am using a paint with what is technologically feasible. For example, when I wanted to have paint my house, being in Mumbai, seepage is a big problem in every house. I went to one of the companies selling wallpapers. The manager there was very, very empathetic actually. But though he couldn't take the action. Why I use the word empathetic? Because he told me where to go. He asked me, first question he asked me is, do you have seepage? I said, yes, I have seepage. Then he said, please don't buy wallpaper. Because technologically, the wallpaper what we have is not going to be a feasible solution for you. And what a viable business strategy, which should be profitable, can convert into a customer value and market opportunity. Therefore, what is this innovation? What is this innovation we talk about? Innovate or perish. What is innovation? Let me borrow from my guru, Professor Eppinger from MIT. He defines innovation to have 3 dimensions. The first dimension is your innovation should meet the people need, the real need of people. So I need to create a solution which will meet the real need of the people. Number 2, it should be win. It should be technically feasible. The solution what I develop should be technically feasible. You try multiple times, fail fast, fail safe, and you create a solution which is feasible for the customer. And all this solution has to be worth it. It should be viable. So what he calls as real, win, worth it. If a solution fulfills real, win, worth it, and that is innovation. According to Eppinger, innovation stems from this real, win, worth it solutions. Okay. So what are the elements of design thinking? If you something very interesting in this slide is from where I got this slide. Have a look at the bottom part of the slide. It's very interesting. Design thinking guidebook from Royal Civil Service Commission, Bhutan. What Bhutan got to do with design thinking? Something very interesting. Please do a Google search and find out yourself. Something very interesting. Somebody like Bhutan government is applying design thinking in their own gross national happiness, improving the gross national happiness. There are 6 parameters they talk about. The first parameter for design thinking is human-centric. Design thinking has to be human-centric. We are creating solutions for real people, not hypothetical solutions. It has to be a collaborative teamwork. It is not going to be an individual maverick doing it. You need to have that mindset of a maverick, but you should be in a position to get a collaborative teamwork to get the solution out. It is learning by doing. You have to essentially fail. You have to fail to learn things. When I say fail to learn things, fail fast and fail safe. Every one of us have one uncle who knows everything. I have one uncle who actually knows everything. He worked in L&T so many years back, 70s and 60s and 70s. He's about 80 plus. So I give a call to him once in a while to just share with him what I'm doing new in my assignment, in my consulting. Immediately my uncle says, oh no, I did this in L&T in 1967. I did this in L&T in 1974. I used to wonder what this L&T has done here. So once I asked him, how come you're telling everything for about L&T like this? He said a very, very powerful statement he made. He said, in L&T, we are allowed to do mistakes. What a powerful statement it is. It is not like as a hobby, I collect multiple mistakes. You are allowed to try things. That is very important for an organization to develop leaders. Learning by doing. Embrace experimentation. I should have the guts to experiment. Experimentation calls for guts. Going in the same thing in the same way again and again, we yield the same result. I need to try new things. Try out something different. Classic example is Zoom. Classic example is what you call, like for example, how do I get the voice in Zoom? We have to figure it out quickly. We have to try it out and then see that, yeah, this is the way to get voice in Zoom. Very, very critical. Understand the patterns, relationships, and systems. Because every madness has got a method underneath that. We have to find that method underneath that madness. And finally, visualize and show. This is an extremely critical skill for a designer. You have to visualize and show things. It cannot be abstract. It has to be converted into something which people can comprehend. So the basic skills framework for design thinking has got 3 parts to it. The first part is explore. Explore typically is go and see. In Japanese, we call it Genchi Gembutsu. or those who are familiar with Professor Muradian, he calls it Goya. Get off your, you know what, go there and see, go to the ground and observe what is happening there. Second part of explore is empathy. I already talked about empathy. The second major thing is create. We have to create many designs. There's no one solution for a problem. There are many solutions for the problem, and you have to keep prototyping the solutions. And rapid prototyping is a very critical part of your design thinking process. And finally, it is not enough to create, you have to implement it. Implementation comes with many iterations, but details matter in terms of like what Rahul Dravid said. From every match, I have to learn. Even from a defeat, I have to learn. I have to learn from the other players. Details matter for experience collection. Implementation comes from experience implementation. This portion is typically what is called as immersion, inspiration or immersion, ideation, implementation. I want to spend a little bit time on two aspects before I close in on design thinking. One aspect is that go and see. Observe what is happening is an extremely important part of design thinking. Second aspect is primarily why leadership without implementation is useless. This aspect of design thinking of implementation, which is a critical part of empathy, aware, articulate, act is empathy. So act calls for implementation. So the first aspect, go and see. Observation is notice something. You notice something, you observe something. You find somebody carrying two mobile phones in a hand, struggling with the charger. Hey, if I am a mobile phone manufacturer, what do I think about it? I can't do anything about the battery. Can I see the ways in which the battery consumption can be minimized? If I am a person making battery, the observation has to lead me towards, hey, can I create a battery with a longer storage life? If I am a person who is making this charger, external charger, hey, these guys are using two mobile phones. Can I do two ports in this so they can charge it parallel? If I am a mobile phone manufacturer, this guy is using two phones. Can I create two phones, which is primarily with the same phone itself, dual SIM? I am a guy who is making actually my laptop bag. This guy is moving around with the dangling wires. Can I create a product where he can keep the charger along with the bag itself? So observation, you notice something, what comes out of the observation is primarily your insight. Make sense? So observation to insight is what the process we talk about in design thinking. So for that, we have to jump into the fishbowl. How do we observe a fish? We observe a fish by standing outside. But I have a guru called Professor Soji Shiba. Shiba talks about, jump into the fish bowl and understand what the fish does. This is Professor Shiba. He shows the fish bowl. Jump into the fish bowl to understand what the fish does. This is the key theme of empathy. But please be careful. Don't lose yourself in the process. That's also important. There's a dark side of empathy also. Okay, I'm not getting into that right now. The other aspect, which is primarily the implementation aspect, which is critical for any kind of design thinking and leadership. What is this? This is Sanjay. Sanjay is the first commentator. I'm sure all of you are aware of it. He's a commentator who is commenting on Mahabharat war to Dhritarashtra. Sanjay never gave any opinion throughout Mahabharat. But he gives his opinion only once in the last shloka of Bhagavad Gita, where he tells, he's to Dhritarashtra, Yatra Yogeswara Krishno Yatra Partho Dhanurdhara Tatra Sri Vijayaha Bhuti Dhruvanitir Matir Mama. He signs off Matir Mama, my opinion. What is that opinion? Yatra Yogeswara Krishna. Where there is Yogeswara Krishna. Yatra Partho Dhanurdhara. Where there is Dhanurdhara Partha. There, Tatra, Sri, wealth, Vijay, victory, Bhuti, fame, Dhruva Nitir, impartial justice, will prevail, Matir Mama, my opinion. So he gives a very interesting perspective here. Very interesting kind of a prefix he is using for Krishna and Arjuna, if you look at carefully. Yatra Yogeswara Krishna. Krishna has got multiple prefixes. You can call him Vasudeva Krishna, Govardhanidhar Krishna, so many Krishnas you can use. Oh, Yogeshwara Krishna. The one who understands the consequences of action, one who is able to mentor, who is able to give direction is Yogeshwara. Krishna defines yoga once. In fact, some people say it is twice. In my opinion, it is once he defines yoga, where he talks about samatvam Yoga uchyate. Samatvam, equanimity is yoga, is what he talks about. A leader has to have equanimity. Equipoise is an English word, or you can say stoic to some extent. So Yogeshwara Krishna is the one who is able to get that kind of a mindset. But Yogeshwara Krishna by himself cannot defeat this, cannot win the war, win the battle. You need somebody who is ready to hit. Yatra Partho Dhanurdhara. Partha has got multiple names, Savyashashi, ambidextrous. But here he uses the word Yatra Partho Dhanurdhara, where there is a Parth with his skillfulness in his aim and shot is there. He knows his weapons, he knows how to operate them, he knows where to operate them, he knows when to operate them. You have somebody like that. Yatra Partho Dhanurdhara, Tatra Sri Vijayo Bhuta Dhruva Nitir Madirmama. Why I am telling this is, a leader has to have an able executive, an effective executive, what Drucker calls as effective executive. You need an effective executive to execute your ideas. And you have to nurture them. That's what Krishna was doing the whole of Bhagavad Gita. So you need implementation has to be part of my leadership. One quick example on design thinking, then we will get into integrating leadership crisis to design thinking. I'm sure you know this movie, DDLJ. And if you remember, movie going used to be a different experience for us altogether. Where we go to a movie, watch the movie, come back. We never take the chance of going to the gentleman room there. We never take a chance of buying anything and eating there. Our whole movie experience changed with PVRs. It became a wholesome experience of going there and being there. But this experience, still I have to go to the theater, book the ticket, again go to the theater and watch the movie. Then came bookmyshow.com. So in bookmyshow.com, I can be in my home, I can take my mobile, I book the ticket, I go at the time to the movie, I watch the movie and come back. I'm pretty happy about this. My problem is solved. But has it solved all my problem? Has all my problem solved? I'm a big Rajinikanth fan. Once I went to watch a movie called Kala, Rajinikanth's movie. And Rajinikanth's movie, the first scene is very important. His entry scene. So I went with my family. I dropped them at the gate in Raghulila Mall in Vashi. I went to the parking space to park my vehicle. When I went there, none of the parking spaces are available. Everything is occupied. He sent me back. I couldn't park outside. I went to my home, which is about 10 minutes drive from the theater. I parked the vehicle at home, took an auto rickshaw and came to the theater. When I entered the first scene of Kala movie, it's already gone. So my value is gone. The very purpose of going for Rajinikanth movie is lost. So typically, though they have solved the problem, they haven't solved the problem completely. I go with my family. The fellow comes and stops me. I go to another floor. Another fellow comes and stops me. I go to another floor. He's stopping me, asking me to get lost. I was very happy while starting to go for the movie. Got a bit concerned when I went to this first thing. Got a bit annoyed when I went to this. Absolutely angry when I went out for parking my car at my home. So what bookmyshow.com did? So here is the problem. I have a problem. There are certain people who are not able to find parking space. So in a way, they have solved the problem in a way. They have also now connected with Uber Connect, where you can also book the theater, book the Uber pickup and Uber drop along with the movie ticket, and you can go. They can go one step further. They can tie up with the parking lot also. So that means any problem, when you're trying to create a solution, it will show up another problem. There's another solution coming in. This is the typical solution mindset of a design thinker. How this whole thing can be integrated. For integrating this, I will borrow the help of another guru, Horath. He talks about 4 levels of strategic thinkers, which is definitely required for a leader. The first level of strategic thinker he calls as beach bums, where people sit on the beach front and observe what is happening there. Nothing much they can see, not great insights they will get. The second guys are primarily snorkelers, who jump a little bit but keep their pipe outside the water to ensure that nothing happens to them. They also will get some ideas, but the ideas are not going to be great. They will get some insights in this. The third set of people are scuba divers, who are a bit deeper. They get more information, they get more ideas, they get more insights when they go further. And the final one is actually the guy who is the deep sea diver, are the free drivers. In fact, free drivers can hold their breath for 11 minutes. There's a record. So these guys will get some phenomenal insight. So the impact of the insight and the frequency of insight is pretty high for free divers. I given the YouTube reference for you to watch if you can note it down yourself. And this phenomenal video of Hovrat is there, in that which talks about these 4 levels of strategic thinkers. A leader has to be a free diver. You have to have that kind of insight development capability. And this insight development capability is pretty high for a free diver. You can get a lot of insights behind the iceberg, but not for the beach bums. Therefore, it talks about 3 specific A's he talks about. One is acumen. Acumen is the intellect part of it. You should have that capability to get the insight. For a leader, you need to get the capability for getting the insight. And second is you have to allocate the right resources for this, like Arjun. And the third is you have to take action on this, the final part of empathy. So acumen, allocation, action are the 3 specific strategic thinking disciplines which Hovrat talks about. Let us go back to our dolphin managers and leaders. What aspects of design thinking can enable a leader not to be a dolphin manager? I have another 8 minutes to go. Sonal, don't worry, I will be on time.
Not a problem, sir. All yours.
Okay. Yeah. So leaders are dolphin managers. If I have to come out of a dolphin manager mindset, first and foremost, I should stop rewarding the CEOs based on like dolphins. Variable pay is one of the biggest hindrances for strategic thinking and long-term thinking, in my opinion. Debatable opinion, definitely, but this is my opinion. The 3 aspects are fundamentally customer centricity. Design thinking calls for customer at the center of the business universe. So continuously looking at solutions for the customer, and therefore I will stop thinking about my quarterly profit. I have to think about sometime I have to take the back foot to play Malinga. I cannot try to score of every over here. If Malinga is at his peak, leave him his 4 overs. There are other bowlers to whom I can sock. Second, embrace experimentation. Experimentation calls for guts. And experimentation will definitely is required for somebody to be a leader, not simply dolphin managers. The third is mindset to fail fast and fail safe. Like my uncle said, we are allowed to make mistakes. A leader should be allowed to make mistakes. But it's not like a hobby. He has to essentially be willing to learn and do it continuously. So the aspect of the leadership which I talked about, Dhritirdrashti Matidaksham, this is typically the drishti part of it. A leader should have vision. Then he cannot be a dolphin manager. If you are a dolphin manager, very difficult to get that vision of long term. You will be a beach bum. You will not be that free diver. You have to be a free diver to get that vision. The insights will come only with the free divers. And for that, you need to keep the customer at the center of the universe always. The second, lateral or linear thinking. Of course, having said that, just a minute, even sometimes short-term focus is important. But that cannot be the only focus. We should have a clarity about what is urgent and what is important. Most often we are sucked by what is urgent, we forget about what is important. A leader has to spend sufficient time in what is important and not only what is urgent. Urgency is also definitely to be addressed. Similarly, linear thinking is also important, but lateral thinking is important. What are the 3 specific aspects of design thinking which enables lateral thinking? Number 1, rapid prototyping. Those who are interested, you can do a Google search on something called as a PUG matrix and morphology. These 2 techniques of design help a lot in this lateral thinking also. How you are able to do prototype faster. You have to be a lateral thinker for this. Embrace experimentation. Again, it is repeating. Of course, it has to repeat. Not bug matrix, PUG matrix. P-U-G-H. PUG matrix. P-U-G-H is made by a person called PUG. P-U-G-H is the name of the person. PUG matrix. Don't get bugged there. PUG matrix. Okay. Embrace experimentation. Yes, P-U-G-H. Thank you. Embrace experimentation is primarily the second critical design thinking aspect, which is important for lateral thinking. The third is very, very crucial. Understand patterns. There is one game which I'm not a great game buff, but there's one game which I love a lot in mobile phone, which is a game which talks about primarily what is called as links or flow free, where you have to connect the dots using multiple combination or you have to create. It's a phenomenal game actually, which requires understanding the pattern. Even your cube solving is understanding patterns. Understanding pattern is required for lateral thinking. There is a method underneath the madness. Again, this comes under mati, intellect. Because for understanding patterns, you need intellect. Lateral thinking needs intellect. It's not from heart. What Dravid said about learning or repeating, again I repeat, repeating is also important, but learning is very crucial for a leader. So the design thinking perspectives which enable this, go and see. Genchi Gembutsu, go, yeah, jump into the fishbowl, go to the fishbowl level, get into the fishbowl and understand what is happening. Learning has to be the underlying theme of insight development. Collaborative teamwork is very important. That will help in learning much better. And empathy, of course. The 3 A's of aware, articulate, and act. Again, this comes under non-depression because at times it gets depressing when you're losing a match, like what Dravid was talking about. Even if you lose a match, you have to learn from that match. If an opposition batsman scored 100, learn from him. If you scored 100, learn from it what you missed, why you didn't make double 100. Non-depression is very important for that. Because see, like in 3 Idiots, one of the characters, Raju Rastogi says, fear is not good for grades. Correct? Okay. Non-depression is not good for experimentation. You have to be a mentor. Empathy. For mentoring, the key theme is empathy. You have to be empathetic to your subordinate, to your team. It has to be human-centric, not only in product design, but leader has to be human-centric. For example, today I was talking with one of the CEOs, or one of the owners of a company in a place called Davaspet in Bangalore. This man has paid the salary for 2 months for all his workers, migrant workers, and they decided to stick with him. And none of the senior people have taken salary for 2 months. And he said very clearly, in fact, because of this attitude, his actually order book improved tremendously. He has got, if he's going to operate full his plant, next 3 months he has got business booked already. Primary focus of him was not customer, his focus was on the employees. Of course, if I am a mentor, I will allow you to fail fast and fail safe. If I am a tormentor, I will not accept even a single slip. Not acceptable is what I will say. And this is typically implementation skill. And finally, getting done or doing. Doing is also important. Sometimes you have to get down to do. But if I am an owner of the company, I walk down the aisle of my factory, I find 2 mechanical guys struggling with a machine. I roll my sleeves and repair the whole thing. And then go back home and tell my wife, you know what, today what happened? I did a phenomenal job of repairing a machine. These jokers couldn't do it. You are not a leader. You are a doer. You have to get things done. Empathy is very important for that as well. And collaborative teamwork is what is critical for that. And finally, of course, fail fast, fail safe. Allow them to try. Again, implementation skill. But above all this stuff, there is something which is very fundamental for overcoming the leadership crisis. That is the trait of dhriti, which is, you could hear my alarm, right? Okay. The trait is dhriti, which is primarily the courage. With that, I'm winding up my session. Sunal, I'm open for questions.
Sure, sir. Firstly, it was a wonderful and a very, very insightful session, and we are already getting, so many responses. Connecting leadership to Valmiki Ramayana. We always considered Lord Hanuman as a follower. We now know he's a leader. With the 4 leadership traits that you connected us with. Design thinking, a few points like empathy, aware, articulate, action, methods, etc. So it was very, very insightful, sir. Thank you so much. So I think we'll pick up a few questions if I can get that from the group.
Feel free, yeah. Yeah, please.
So I have one question that how to build courage is from Mr. Prasanna.
To build courage, how do I answer this question? See, straight away you're bowling a googly to me as to how to build courage. Okay. See, so personally, if you ask me, we should have that childlike enthusiasm when I'm trying to attempt something. we should be shameless, primarily to have courage. Well, let me give an example what I mean by that. Okay, see, I'm extremely pathetic in languages. After being in Mumbai for 30 years, still I haven't picked up Marathi. How pathetic it is. I can speak Hindi reasonably okay. So I was to go to Argentina and Chile for doing a program on design thinking. 3+3, 6 days program. I checked with them who is going to be there. Somebody will be translating. So I said, we'll have an interpreter to translate what you say. But the danger is if I am going to have an interpreter to translate what I'm going to say, God knows what is he telling, right? I am very pathetic in languages. That's what everybody knows. So I learned Spanish in 3 months and did the presentation in Spanish. When I say presentation in Spanish, I didn't speak in Spanish fully. It was very clear. I spoke only the critical points in Spanish. Everything else I spoke in English, but I could understand what the other fellow is telling. The point is, some guts chahiye. You need to have the guts which comes from here, from the emotional intelligence part of it, not from your IQ. It comes from EQ. So guts has to be a little bit inborn, but you have to practice it. Somewhere we should have that stretch our boundaries and see how we fail. That's where guts comes in. I hope I confused a little bit. Thanks. Okay. Next one. Yeah, Sonal.
Sir, so what to do with company politics? Is it a part of crisis?
It is. See, in fact, most of our time is wasted in that particular company politics itself. And this politics to a great extent is driven by KPIs. Now, I'm not against KPI. I'm making it very clear I'm not against KPI. But what happens is KPIs at times, most often, we focus on our KPI and forget about others. In fact, this is one of the favorite questions I ask people. How much time you're actually spending in follow-up with somebody else? So a lot of times, almost 40%. You are not Gandhiji here. How many times somebody else is following up with you? There's another 40%, right? So we follow up and we answer the follow-up. This is a major chunk of our firefighting. And this follow-up and answer the follow-up is triggered by the priorities of the different people are different. And the priorities of different people is triggered by the KPI. And the KPI leads to the politics. I'm not telling drop KPI, but be aware that KPI has got a potential of derailing your great ideas. You have to have the guts to go back and check your KPIs frequently. Yeah.
So I think we'll just take about 2 more questions. How do we motivate people in this time of pandemic?
See, we have to walk the talk fundamentally. See, it is important. See, let's look at home itself. We have to have the positivity. So the positivity, how do we encourage the positivity? The example I gave about my owner friend in Dabaspet in Bangalore, near Bangalore. So he has walked the talk typically, where he said, okay, I think the workers have to be protected first. So how much I am able to do that is very important. How much I am able to open up opportunity for my people. How much I am able to be empathetic with their actions. How much I am allowing them to fail. Motivation definitely comes in that level. At the current context, if I look at with the COVID context, the biggest fear is how many of us are going to be alive. For a minute, think about it. Anybody who entered this planet cannot escape from this planet alive. I think that's a good perspective. Anybody who entered this planet is not going to escape from here alive. Let us face it, yeah. So the question here is that so long as I'm there, let me be protective about my own, people whom I can influence. And now, after the post-lockdown, when the companies open up, I have to be very clear about my rebooting strategies. Rebooting includes starting from employees to customers to suppliers. This is the rebooting I'm talking about. Start from employees, which is very critical.
Yeah. So one last question, how can we use design thinking to be non-depressive?
See, design thinking by its very nature calls for experimentation. If somebody is an experimentation guy, somebody is having a mindset of experimentation, he will not be depressed. Somebody who is a clear, hardcore research guy, when he fails, he will be thrilled about he failed. He will be depressed for some time, but he says, chalo, I have found a way of not doing it again. That's what Edison said, no, 1,000 times I fail means I have known 1,000 ways of how not to do things. That's a fundamental mindset for a designer. Non-depression is a very critical mindset for a designer. Unperturbed, stoic, equipoise. So this is critical for a designer. So the very nature of a designer is solution seeking. and therefore he has to be non-depressed. A nurturing design thinking mindset. In fact, somebody having that the 5 qualities can be a good design thinker.
Great, sir. Thank you so much. It was really very insightful, and I must say, being associated with you for almost 15 years now, listening to you every time is a new learning. Thank you very much.
Vanitha.
Thank you,
Ms. Dr. Vanitha. Thanks, Vanitha. Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you so much. Yes, sir. Yes, sir. Thank you so much, sir. Thank you, everyone, for joining us. Thank you very much.
Thank you so much.
Thank you.
Bye. Bye.